I'm here with Blake Beissel, four-time place winner for the Hastings Raiders, two-time state champ. Recently, over the last week, you just competed at the Fargo tournament up in Fargo, North Dakota, Junior Nationals. Explain to us first what the Junior National Tournament is.
It's the biggest tournament in the country. There's around between 150 and 200 kids in every bracket, give or take. And it's just guys that you have to qualify for the tournament. And it's just not everyone can enter. You have to go through a qualifying process, whether that be winning the state tournament, placing at your regional tournament, or whatever it is. But it's just it's not an automatic qualifier. You have to actually qualify to get into the tournament.
Awesome. So like you said, a huge amount of brackets. So how many people were in your bracket this weekend?
I think there was close to 200 kids, give or take.
200 in your bracket. Sweet. So two different styles of the tournament as well. There's freestyle and Greco. Explain to everybody what you did and then what the styles are.
Yeah. So I did freestyle. There's styles are freestyle and Greco. Freestyle is basically just you can do everything. Throws, shots, whatever you want, turns. And then Greco is just upper body, so you can only touch upper body, and if you touch like legs or below, it's a leg foul and foul points.
So pretty much freestyle is the same as folk style that people watch for the high school season. Just a couple of different of the scoring positions are different. Exposing your back is more points. Takedowns are the same amount of points. Reversals a little bit different, but freestyle for the most part recognizes and gives more points for high amplitude throws. Folk style, which most people watch during our high school season, college season, that really rewards control. And freestyle is a little bit different where it recognizes, like I said, high amplitude throws, exposing people's back, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you? Which one do you like wrestling better, folk style or freestyle?
Personally, I like freestyle better just because it gets me better at the other styles. But folk style, I think, is where I'm primarily dominant.
Awesome. So you said you qualified for this tournament. How many times have you wrestled at Fargo before?
This was my fourth time.
Fourth time, okay. Then did you ever place before?
Yeah, my first year I went, I was at 100 pounds and I took sixth. And then the past 2 years I lost in the blood rounds and then the match before blood rounds.
Awesome. So walk us through this tournament, Blake. What you were seeded going in this tournament. And then if you want to walk through round by round how the tournament went for you, let's hear about that.
Yeah. I was the 19th seed going in. So not really expected to win a good amount of matches, but not place or anything, like 11, 12 away from placing. But my first match, I wrestled with a kid from Florida. He was on their national dual team, so he was like their top dog. I ended up beating him 10-0 in 2.5 minutes, something like that. And then I wrestled Illinois kid. He ended up taking second at folk style state this year, and I beat him as well 10-0 in the round of 64. And then in the round of 32, I wrestled Tennessee, three-time Tennessee state champion. He actually has a brand deal with Rudis, which is pretty cool, and he's committed to South Dakota State. I beat him 5-0. He's really short, stocky, so it was just like a battle of positioning. And then in my round of 16, I wrestled this really tough kid from Arizona. I ended up beating him 4-2. He was the same thing, a lot of positioning. And then he had that little Arizona funk that's hard to adapt to.
Mm-hmm.
So it took me till like second period to figure him out, really. The quarterfinals came. I wrestled this kid from Oregon. He's a 4-time Oregon State champ, committed to Oregon State, and his brother wrestles Oregon State right now. We were 1-1 the year I took sixth. I beat him in the round of 16, 11-9, and then he ended up kicking my butt in the Conci semis that year. But I was down on him 8-0 in the first like minute and a half. I came back and stormed back and beat him 18-8, which was pretty cool, putting myself in the semifinals. So then I had to obviously get the weight back down, make weight the next day, and I did. I was a little slow on my feet the first match in the semifinals. I ended up losing to a tough kid 6-4. He ended up taking second. He went to the same high school as Zane Rutherford did, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I think he's gonna be junior, senior this year. I don't know. He was tough, big, strong. And then in the consolation semifinals, I wrestled the kid from Marion Academy in Illinois. He was number 5 in the country at 113 pounds. He beat world champion Dominic Munaretto in the state finals. And I beat him 12-6. I was also down on him 6-0 and stormed 12 unanswered points to beat him. And then in the third place match, I wrestled a kid who was a national prep champion, which is like all the private schools on the East Coast. They don't have a state tournament because they can't, because they're private schools, so they have a national like tournament with all them. And he ended up winning that this year. He's committed to UPenn, and he made the world team last year in Greco, which is crazy at U20s. And I ended up beating him 7-6. His style was really weird. It was like the weirdest style I've ever wrestled, but just adapting to it and getting my reattacks won me that match.
Yeah, so for people that don't know, attack and freestyle is 10 points. So you're down 8-0 to this kid from Oregon in the quarterfinals. 2 more points and he's going to attack you. And I know watching some film on him, he had a really good gut wrench, which is a move on different than folk style. You can lock your hands on top and you just keep on rolling and rolling. So he had a gut wrench on you, turns you a couple times, you're down 8-0. And then right as he's turning you, you turn back into him and go on to a shot and score a couple points. So walk us through maybe that sequence. That was a really big turning point in the match. And then maybe what is your mental game at that time? What are you thinking about down 8-0 and this kid's turning you a couple different times at that point?
Yeah, that gut wrench was tight. He obviously took me down earlier in the period, and then he took me down again and got that gut wrench locked up. He got the first one I tried to float, and I felt that I could, but by the time I was floating, he already rolled me through. So I kind of game planned for him to turn me again, and as he turned me again, I floated my hips after him turning me, and I flipped my hips around like a hip heisted folk style. And then as he did that, we were going back up to our feet, and as he stood up, I went to grab his leg, and I hit my signature fireman's carry. Got 2 points there. And then there was like 45 seconds left in the first period, so I was down 8-2. And then we got into a scramble situation, which is not very common in freestyle. And I ended up turning him with 3 seconds left, tipping him back, exposing his back, and 8-4. And then I felt like it was really anyone's match there because my only goal was just get out of that period and I could try to refocus. But after I put 4 points up on him that easily, it was a turning point for me. And then going into that next period, just my reattacks were on point. He kept taking lazy shots on me, and I'd stuff his head, run corner on him.
Mm-hmm.
He had long arms, so that was a little bit hard to break, but staying patient, keeping pressure on him. And then I did that 2 or 3 times, and then I did that 2 times, and on the second shot, I ended up actually turning him in a leg lace. So I had a standing leg lace, so I had his legs wrapped, and he went to grab my leg, and I brought my leg over him to expose him for another 2. So at that point, it was 8-8. And then another shot got in. I took him down, and I got a inside leg cradle locked up, and I turned him twice with that, so I got up 12-8. And then we went out of bounds. I went back to the center. I ended up taking him down again with that go behind, and I gut wrenched him. So I got 4 points there, so 16-8. And then I knew I wanted to close out the match. I didn't want the same thing to happen to me that happened to him. So I sprinted back to the center, got ready, and took him down again, and ended up tech falling him.
So you're down 8-0. Once again, attack is 10 points. Start coming back in the match, and you end up winning 18-8. So you scored 18 unanswered points in the match, becoming an All-American. So what's that feeling like? Obviously, you already did it a couple years ago. You All-American. 2 years in a row, you're just 1 match away from placing, 1 win away from placing, and then you punch your ticket. What's that feel like?
It's just relief, you know what I mean? I've been dying to get back there the last 3 years, and I wasn't even actually planning on wrestling this tournament because I just didn't want to go through that again because it sucks. Losing the match working that hard, having to get your weight all the way down, wrestle 2 or 3 practices a day, get ready for that, and not even get what you want. It was hard, and then I sat down with the coaches at the U of M, and said they wanted me to compete, and I was like, okay. So I got ready for that, and it's the best feeling in the world, knowing that you're an All-American, like top 8 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
It's an awesome feeling.
Sweet. So you lose in the semifinals, you come back, consolation semifinals, and people that don't really know wrestling, that consolation semifinals, after you lose in the semifinals, one of the toughest matches to rebound from. You're on a loss, you're on a low. Someone just won, they're top 6 now, they're coming off a high. So in that match, you're down 6-0 as well. You get taken down a couple different times, you're down 6-0. Walk us through the ending of the first period, because that's when the match really started to shift for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I took him It was like 20 seconds left, and I think he tried taking like a lazy shot on me. And I ran corner on him, did that go behind again. That go behind was meant for me all weekend. I just kept running behind him. I got my gut wrench locked up, and I turned him twice, but they overturned one of the calls, one of my turns. So it really should have been 6-6, but ended up being 6-4. But I didn't let it get in my head because it's not up to the rest. It's up to me to score points. I can't just leave it up to them. 6-4 at the break, and then I think I scored one takedown early in the second period, and then went back up to the feet. And then, if I'm not mistaken, I got that. It was 6-6 at that point, and then he took another lazy shot at me because he needed to score. So I sprawled again, ran corner, but this time I knew he was going to try to wrestle up with it. So I beat my elbow or my arm around his knee. I went elbow pit to knee pit and cradled him. I tipped him 2 times for that, so it was 12-6. By the time that was done, it was already a minute left. There was only a minute left in the period, so I just hounded on my defense. My coach at Minnesota Elite, Dakota Traum, he preaches a lot of risky offense and stingy defense. So as soon as I knew I needed to close out a match, I just went to my stingy defense and just trusted in my training and knew that no one can stop my defense.
Sweet. So you win that one, you're top 4 in the country. Obviously, anytime you're on the podium, it's a great thing to walk away with any hardware from the junior national tournament up in Fargo. But you're top 4 in the country and you walk away 3rd place. Once again, talk about the feeling after you walk away with a 3rd place finish. The best you can do after losing in the semifinals.
Yeah. I think it's a lot easier than 2nd place. I'd say you can end the win. I'm going on a high into my college career now. I think it showed people that I wasn't just good on the front side, but I can also come back on the back side. There's a lot more pride, I feel like, in 3rd place because you can just give up after losing in the front side and just want to be done, which a lot of people do that. And even after the state tournament, when I lost in the semifinals, I thought about doing that. But just coming back for that 3rd place just shows what you truly are capable of doing, and that you really, there's no like limit on how good you are. Like, a kid can beat you one day, but that doesn't mean they're going to beat you the next day. That doesn't mean if they lose that they're going to place better than you. I'm proud of it, right? I honestly wouldn't change it. I think that it just shows that there's stuff that I need to work on, and I can just work on that at the U of M and just get ready for that.
Yeah, 2 more questions in for you, Blake. A lot of popular names in this bracket. I'm looking at the bracket right now. So I'm looking at the guy from Oregon that you beat earlier in the tournament in the quarterfinals. He was 1 match away from placing. The number 1 seed, actually the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds all in the tournament were matches away from placing, a couple matches away from placing. A couple other names too. We got Drew Ayala, who is his brother, was in the national finals for Iowa this year. Titan Fredericks, who was a couple times state champ for Minnesota. He ended up not placing as well. And then another name, Jake Knight, who beat you a couple years ago. So yeah, I'll place all these guys that are just absolute studs in the bracket too. Walking away from the tournament, taking 3rd place, all these big names in the bracket not placing and placing below you as well. What's that feel like for you going on the next step of your life too?
It just shows that I just believe in the process that I'm put through, believe in my coaches and my training. But it's also, those guys still beat me, so there's obviously room to improve there. So I obviously want to wrestle those guys again. I've never beaten Ayala or Knight before. I've never wrestled Fredericks, but I've wrestled him in the room, and I feel like all 3 of those would be great matches for me to wrestle in the near future. Anyone I can wrestle, I'm grateful for, and if they're going to give me a good fight, then that's awesome.
Sweet. Last thing for you. You're going to the University of Minnesota here next year. You're going to be a golfer. Just walk us through what the rest of the summer looks like for you, the rest of your training, what way you think you're going for the Gophers next year, things you're excited for to wrestle for the Gophers, and any big plans you have next year for the Gophers.
Yeah, so the U of M, they take a couple weeks off in August before the season starts. So I'm going to train up until they stop. So I'm going to go to the Hastings practices as much as I can, go to Minnesota Elite, and they don't have practice right now, but I'm going to give back and coach the youth guys. And then I'm going to go to the U of M as much as I can, lift and wrestle, get as big as I can. And then next year I plan to wrestle at 125 pounds, and I'll see whatever they would need me to do, I'll do. If they need me to redshirt, if they need me to go up in a weight, if they want me to wrestle at 125, I'm just ready for whatever they want, because at the end of the day, I'm just there to wrestle.
Sweet. Last thing, Blake, I'm all done with my questions. Anything else you want to add in there? Any other shout outs you want to give? Anything else you want to add in there that I didn't ask you?
Yeah, just a thank you to everyone who's helped me, especially like coaches, friends, all my Hastings coaches, everyone in Hastings that is like my friends, my teammates, just all the coaches. Minnesota Elite, they've done huge amount of things for me. Like they're always there for me when I need it. Dakota Traum's got to be the filthiest playbook I've ever seen in my life. Like he's got answers for everything that I need wrestling related. Thank you to Pat McKee for helping coach me this weekend. He was in my corner a lot, helping me. Hopefully I can build off him in the next few years, become an All-American for the Gophers like he did. Luke Veit and Joshua Clay, they were a game planner for me all weekend, watching film, because I noticed I wrestle better when I can visualize film instead of watching it. So when they were telling me the film and I can turn to my own mindset, that helped me a lot. So thank you to them. My parents for everything they do for me, bringing me places. My brother for pushing me every day. My sister, thank you to her. Just everyone. I just appreciate everyone. So
Awesome. Thank you.